In Racine, Wisconsin, there exists a startling racial disparity, where black residents are 12 times more likely to end up in prison compared to white residents. Another distressing example is a town in Arkansas, which currently serves as the modern-day headquarters for the Ku Klux Klan. These are just two instances that underscore the issue of racism in the United States. Today, we will delve into the 10 most racist cities in America, aiming to understand the root causes and consequences of such racial disparities. Number 10. Danville, Illinois. Danville's history includes racially motivated riots and street fights in the 1800s and early 1900s. While physical confrontations have decreased, racism still lingers. In May 2022, a White Lives Matter sign sparked protests, and a gunman, allegedly fueled by racism, shot 13 people in a predominantly black neighborhood. Census data highlights significant racial disparities in education, income, and health, with a wide gap between white and black residents. For instance, while 75% of white families own homes, only about 31% of black families do. Personal experiences of discrimination are also shared by visitors, recounting an unfortunate encounter with the local inn. Number 9. Rochester, New York. Rochester, a city with a rich history, also has a darker side when it comes to racism. One notable incident that highlights the alarming level of racism in the city was a racist party thrown by a wealthy Rochester couple in July 2022. This event raised concerns about the prevalent racism and intolerance in the city. Racial disparities in Rochester are deeper and broader than in New York and the US as a whole. The city struggles with significant disparities in poverty rates among different racial groups. African American children are over 4 times as likely as whites to live in poverty, and Latino children experience poverty at a rate of more than 3.5 times that of white children. This racial divide also manifests in life expectancy, with research from the Rochester Area Community Foundation indicating that black and Latino residents have higher chances of dying before 65 compared to white residents. Addressing the issue of racism in Rochester requires a concerted effort from the community and local authorities. Organizations and activists are working diligently to promote racial justice and equality, but much work remains to create a more inclusive and equitable society. Number 8. Fresno, California. Fresno, known as the 5th largest city in the state, is not exempt from the widespread issue of racism. Being situated in California, which is home to the most hate groups in America, Fresno grapples with its share of hate-driven crimes fueled by racism. Over the last 2 decades, more than 3/4 of reported hate-driven crimes in Fresno County were perpetrated in Fresno, with most of these crimes being racially motivated. This alarming trend indicates the presence of deep-seated racial bias within the community. The racial divide in Fresno becomes evident when analyzing economic disparities between different racial groups. The south side of Fresno, which is predominantly inhabited by communities of color, is a low-income neighborhood where many residents live below the poverty line. In contrast, the north side of Fresno, home to the white population, exhibits a higher median family income and home ownership rates. Number 7. Trenton, New Jersey. Trenton, the capital city of New Jersey, has experienced its share of racial profiling and police brutality incidents. In March 2022, an unarmed black man, Jajawan R. Henderson, became a victim of racial injustice after being shot and paralyzed by officers from the Trenton Police Department while reaching for an iced tea in his car. Beyond incidents of police brutality, systematic racism is evident in areas such as housing, employment, and healthcare. During the pandemic, studies showed that Hispanic New Jerseyans were most likely to contract the virus, and Black New Jerseyans were more likely to die or be hospitalized from the virus than other residents. The root causes of racism in Trenton can be traced back to deeply rooted institutional biases that continue to shape the city's racial dynamics. Addressing these issues requires a multifaceted approach involving both policy changes and community engagement. Number 6. Peoria, Illinois. Peoria has recently gained notoriety for various incidents of racism, from an assistant fire chief using a racial slur on camera to a racist post on Facebook about the Super Bowl halftime performance by the president of an indigenous insurance company. The city has seen its fair share of racist incidents. As is common in many racially divided cities, Peoria exhibits a clear divide between the white population and residents of color. Most people of color live in the south side of Peoria, a low-income neighborhood where poverty rates are higher and home ownership rates are lower compared to the north side, primarily inhabited by the white population. Efforts to address racism in Peoria have been made, with the city's present mayor, Rita Ali, welcoming the activities of the Joint Commission on Racial Justice and Equity, an organization founded to promote racial justice and equity within the county and city governments. However, transforming a city's racial dynamics requires persistent and continuous work from all segments of society. Number 5. Racine, Wisconsin. Racine is a city with a history of deep-rooted racial disparities. The striking disparity in incarceration rates between black and white residents has been a cause for concern. Studies show that the black residents in Racine are 12 times more likely to be incarcerated than white residents. These disparities are not limited to the criminal justice system but extend to other aspects of life such as education, income, and health. Education, income, and health disparities have become a defining feature of Racine. Census figures have revealed significant gaps between white and black residents in home ownership rates and income levels. While 75% of white families in Racine are homeowners, only about 31% of black families own their homes. Additionally, about 20% of the white population in Racine lives below the poverty line, while nearly 50% of the black population falls below the poverty line. These numbers are further reinforced by the personal experiences of individuals who have encountered racism in Racine. Visitors of color have shared their stories of discrimination and unwelcoming experiences, illustrating the challenges faced by people of color in this city. Number 4. Naperville, Illinois. Illinois makes its third appearance on this list, with Naperville, another city grappling with issues of racism. In 2019, a disturbing incident occurred at a Naperville Buffalo Wild Wings, where a group of black patrons was asked to move to a different table due to a white patron's discomfort. Just a year later, an incident involving racist comments directed at Naperville's Asian residents during a council meeting further underscored the presence of racism in the city. Apart from these incidents, economic disparities reveal a clear racial divide in Naperville. Despite being a minority group in the city, black people are almost 3 times more likely to live below the poverty line compared to white residents. Moreover, the city has faced accusations of being a sundown town, where policies stifling businesses owned by people of color have further contributed to racial tensions. Addressing the issue of racism in Naperville requires a collective effort from the community and local authorities. Recognizing and challenging systemic racism is crucial to foster an inclusive and equitable environment for all residents. Number 3. Milwaukee, Waukesha, West Allis, Wisconsin. Milwaukee and its neighboring cities, Waukesha and West Allis, have consistently ranked high in racial disparities, making the region one of the most racially divided metropolitan areas in America. A survey conducted by Suffolk University revealed significant disparities in perceptions of the city among white and black respondents. While most white people voted the city as excellent or good, 80% of black respondents rated the city as fair or poor. This racial divide manifests in various areas of life, including income, education, and healthcare. Milwaukee is known for being one of the most segregated cities in the country between black and white populations. The city's history, marked by racial tensions, has left a lasting impact on the community, leading to disparities in education levels, maternal and infant mortality rates, disabilities, and unemployment. Addressing racial disparities in Milwaukee, Waukesha, West Allis requires a comprehensive approach, involving reforms in various institutions and the commitment from all segments of society to promote racial equity. Number 2. Harrison, Arkansas. Harrison, Arkansas holds a dark and unsettling reputation when it comes to racism. Previously known as a sundown town, where Black Americans faced threats of death if they were found outside after dusk, the city has a long history of racial tension. During the late 20th and early 21st centuries, the city witnessed an influx of several white supremacist organizations, further contributing to its negative reputation. Harrison's association with the modern-day Ku Klux Klan, which is headquartered in nearby Zinc, adds to the city's troubling reputation. Census data reflects the city's overwhelming white population with a mere 8 black residents, most of whom live below the poverty line. A visit to Harrison would reveal the controversial billboards that read "White Pride Radio" and "Anti-racist is a code for anti-white," further demonstrating the city's unwelcoming atmosphere for people of color. While Harrison has faced significant challenges related to racism, there are efforts by the government and well-meaning citizens to address the city's racist history. The Harrison Community Task Force on Race Relations was established to promote racial justice and equity, aiming to bring positive change to the city's racial dynamics. Number 1. Waterloo Cedar Falls, Iowa. Waterloo Cedar Falls, Iowa stands out as the city with the largest social and economic disparities along racial lines, according to a study by 24/7 Wall Street. The study took into account gaps in income, unemployment, and home ownership rates, highlighting the glaring disparities between black and white residents. The black unemployment rate in Waterloo is over 5 times higher than the white unemployment rate, indicating significant barriers to employment for people of color. Additionally, the home ownership rate among black residents is significantly lower than that of white residents. While 73.2% of white residents own their homes, only about 32.8% of black residents can say the same. While some sources have challenged these statistics, claiming that the gap is no longer as wide, it is undeniable that racial disparities persist in Waterloo. As recently as 2021, incidents involving derogatory language used against high school basketball players at Waterloo East High School further highlighted the ongoing racial bias within the community. To address the deeply rooted racial disparities in Waterloo Cedar Falls, a concerted effort is needed from the community, local authorities, and organizations dedicated to promoting racial justice and equity. In conclusion, these 10 cities in America serve as sobering reminders of the enduring presence of racism. While progress has been made in some places, the racial disparities and incidents of racism in these cities underscore the need for continuous efforts to create a more inclusive and equitable society for all. By confronting these challenges head-on, we can work towards a future where racism becomes a relic of the past, and all individuals can thrive regardless of their race or ethnicity. Discover countries that pay you to live there. From financial incentives to unique perks, these destinations are calling for adventurous individuals to call them home. Watch the video now to find out more.